With me again with another topic called progression of mealtime participation. So throughout this slide, you will notice there will be more complex terms or more biologically related terms. So if you cannot understand it, I'll try to explain as best as possible. But if it's still not clear, you can refer to the occupational therapy for children book, or you can search through the web. Let us study progression of mealtime participation with the first 6 months. So at this age, you'll see baby or infant will feed in arm. So usually they will be placed on mother's lap, for example. So at this age, bonding is the key because usually this is where the baby know the mother's smell, the mother's touch, etc. So around this time, you will see that infant is the one that set the pace, the duration, and the end of the meal. So you will see it can take like 1 hour or 50 minutes, depending on how long the baby wanted to eat food, for instance. And then it could be like the baby only eat like 2 spoons and then stop. So this is where the baby decide when is the end of the meal. And then we move to 7 to 24 months. So you'll see the baby will be more independent because they will use more their own finger to feed. And then of course like around 8 months you see they will use spoon and cup more. So finger feed and then use spoon and cup. So there will be this will you will see more messy of course. And then around this age also, they will start to be more picky. So they will decide like what kind of food they will eat and what kind of food that will they will deny. Like usually like food that have a strong taste, they will tend to bend more towards that. Around this age also, usually they will be more adventurous for food because they will try more will try more for like texture and taste and then decide on their own which one is good and bad. So instead of eating in the arm now they already moved to a baby chair or a high chair. So if at the first 6 months the main key is bonding, from this time the focus is more to communication, but it's more to verbal and non-verbal, and mainly in terms of describing the food, like oh it's hot or it's salt, no salt, it's too sweet or too hot, something like that. At the age of 2, you will see the child will be more independent in eating. And by the meaning of independent, because you will see they will become the full participant in family mealtime. Because usually, I mean, before this, they will join in by on and off. But now they will be fully stay and eat like at the table with the family members. So at this age, they will tend to mimic actions or behavior of others at table. So for example, like if the person tends to move their head when they are eating, so the person might try to move as well, or like other person likes to tap the table with the spoon, so the child will try as well. So these are some of the examples. Or when the child enter preschool, so you will see that they will start to eat some or all food others that eating. Because maybe before this, they only eat the food that are prepared for them. So it's different from the food that others are eating. So now they will have similar, like, so some or all food that others are eating. So if before they mimic the actions, now they start to follow the feeding behavior of others. So for example, like if the father like to eat the like eat chicken, right? To eat the flesh first before the skin. So maybe the child will try, maybe that's the correct way to do it. Maybe try to mimic and try out that same behavior as well. So at this age, eating time will be a part of social time because there will be a lot of conversation, a lot of questions being thrown over at the table. So it's a good time to be social at that time. The special needs individuals experience the same progression, not exactly because you will see some delay. This is because if you only focus on eating alone, you'll see there's so many steps like You need to focus on your fine motor to hold the spoon, and then your oral motor to chew the food, to swallow. So it's a hard work for them to eat alone. And then you add another thing about mealtime participation in terms of like eating. It's a social thing. Usually you eat with your family or you eat it with your friends at the school. So social, but now you're adding like five moto or moto, and then you're adding one more thing, which is the social part. And then usually when you're eating, something you are forced to eat certain food that are prepared on that day. So this thing will interrupt like the sensory part, and that it will also triggers anxiety. So there's also a lot of rules and regulations. For instance, like you need to eat more or you need to eat very neatly. So because of this, Famoto, Oromoto, the social part and the rules, so all this make it less enjoyable for them, and then it will make it more delay for the meal participation part. Here comes the complex part, the development of oral structures. So I try to find the most clear, the clearest picture that can represent the oral structure. But if it's not clear now, I'm so sorry. I'll try harder next time. But after this slide as well, please refer to the images attached because it will be clearer when you refer to the picture because it's harder to imagine without having to see the picture. So what you need to understand about the development is that the anatomy of mouth and throat will change or develop significantly at the first 12 months. So you will see a lot of changes happens during the first 12 months. And then you will see a various of oral motor development once the child able to control their jaw, tongue, cheek, and lip movement. So the development by each I will explain further during the next slides. Let us start with the structures and function first. So we start with oral cavity. So in oral cavity, it consists of hard and soft palate, the tongue, fat pads of cheeks, upper and lower jaw teeth. So at this area, it only focuses in containing or holding the food during drinking and chewing. So this is where initial chewing, the start of chewing occurs. And then we move to pharynx. So pharynx is located at the base of the mouth. Usually, it consists of base of tongue, buccinator, oropharynx, tendons, and yard bone. So the function of this structure is to share. This is where food and air share same space before it is being transferred to. The food before it's being transferred to esophagus. Next is larynx. So larynx is located near the throat area, at the end of the mouth, near the back. So it consists of epiglottis, true and false vocal cord. So the function is it acts as a valve to trachea. So because when you're saying trachea, it means it related to the air, the breathing part. So when you are swallowing, that valve will be closed because it will avoid the person from choking. Because we want the food to be channeled to the esophagus, not to enter the trachea, because it will cause choking. And then we move to trachea, which I mentioned just now, which is it's a tube. Below larynx, and it function. The main function is to let air flow into bronchi and lungs. So it's related to breathing part. And then we have our esophagus. So it's thin and muscular esophagus. So it focus in carrying food from the pharynx to the stomach area. Now that we understand the oral structures and functions, now we can move to the development by age. So during newborn, you'll see the baby have very small oral cavity and it's filled with fat pads inside cheeks and tongue. So it's very compressed. The mouth itself is very compressed. The reason why the structure is made like that is because it will be easy for latching and then to compress the nipple. So this is for mainly for breastfeeding, but also if you are the baby is using normal milk bottle of milk, it will have the same function as well. So, because of this function, it will be less likely for a newborn to experience choking from milk. And then we move to infant. So, the structures for infant is that the structures itself all are close to each other. So, the main part, the biggest function is that the epiglottis and the soft palate is in the same direction. It's very close together. So it's when it's close together, it's easier for milk to directly move to esophagus. And then you need to understand that because the structures are close together, and that it's easy for the larynx to close over the trachea and to elevate. So even though the baby is drinking in a supine position, the choking part will be less likely to happen. Once infant grow up, and then you see the neck getting longer, it elongates. You will see also the oral and throat structures start to change. Will experience more changes. So because of the bigger oral cavity, then it will have thinner and muscular tongue, and then less fat cheeks. So in conclusion, there will be bigger oral space, there will be more tongue rotation that will allow more like tasting food. So they will become more adventurous in terms of tasting variety of food, texture, and taste. So at the age of 1, you will see the short epiglottis and larynx dis- decent, and come down a bit. Then it will provide more space and mobile during swallowing for short and larynx. So with elongated pharynx and then the big area, there will be more likely, more higher chance for a child to choke when they are eat or during especially at reclined position. This part is the part that I struggles the most, mainly because of the complex terms. So I'll try my best to explain. So there are four swallowing phases. So it starts with oral preparatory phase. So at this phase, you'll see it's a voluntary control. So the main focus is that oral manipulation occurs. So what do you mean by manipulation is that it when you chew you start to chew the food, right? So it start to form the food into balls, into like small balls. So it's easier for the food to enter the esophagus. All right, the next phase is the oral phase. So it's similar to the one before, it's a voluntary phase. So at this part, it focuses on transferring the food. So what happens is that the tongue will elevate, so it will goes up against the alveolar ridge, and then this will help to move the bolus towards the back to enter the esophagus. So this phase ends with the onset of pharyngeal swallow lasting 1 to 3 seconds. So right before the proper swallowing occurs. Next is pharyngeal phase. So at this phase, it starts with the trigger of swallow at anterior posterior arches. So what happens is that the yacht and larynx will move upward and anteriorly to smoothen the swallowing process. So it will end with the relaxation of cricopharyngeal sphincter. And then the final phase, uh, different than before, it's not voluntary control. This is where at the esophagus, right, you will see the contraction of cricopharyngeus muscle, and then the relax of lower esophageal phageal sphincter. So it contract and relax at the same time to move the bolus downwards until the bolus or the food enters the stomach. This marks the end of the slide and time to say goodbye. So if you need, sorry for the noise, it's quite long. If you need more information, please refer to the Occupational Therapy for Children book. And I guess we'll see you again next time.